Dr. Kirkpatrick, thank you so much for making the time. Appreciate it. Like the focus of this conversation to be on those three well-known UAP videos that have been released, Gimbal, Go Fast, and FLIR One. But that being said, after I reached out to you and things move fast in this space, we learned that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer reintroduced the UAP Disclosure Act as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. I'd love to maybe pick your brain and get some of your feedback. So I'm going to put myself in the position of an average citizen in your former office, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, put out an extensive report that, from my read, categorically denied the existence of these alleged, rumored UFO, UAP retrieval and reverse engineering efforts.
Speaking of Merrick von Rindenkamp, he appeared on the latest episode of Weaponized, a great episode. They talk a lot about the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and there's a lot of great sound bites from this episode. But one of the bits that struck out to me most was this little rant by George Knapp. I really appreciated what he had to say here.
So much of what Kirkpatrick says is basically, trust me, bro. I can't tell you which cases we're investigating. I can't tell you who the witnesses we talked to are. I can't tell you what the censor systems that we have looked at that debunk these particular cases. You just have to trust me that I've explained it all away. Not only the public, but the media and Congress. Trust me, there's nothing to this. Move along, folks. And I don't trust him. I mean, for reasons that you've made pretty clear, he doesn't seem to know a heck of a lot about the most best known and most important cases. And we know for a fact, Jeremy and I know for an absolute fact, that key whistleblowers who have shared information with Grush did not talk to Arrow. They don't trust him. They don't even trust Congress. They don't feel like they can come forward, share the information, and they will be protected right now, which is like a big reason that the Schumer-Rounds amendment to the NDAA has a new life. I'm just kind of disgusted by the assumption that we would all go ahead and accept his word for it. As he said in your interview, well, look, all these people looking at this evidence, there's no credible physicists who are there. Yeah, these guys work with these sensor systems every day. These pilots are the best we have. They're the best in the world. They know what their planes are showing them. They know what they see with their own eyes, how the sensor systems work and the platforms. They know their stuff. Maybe they're not a physicist. They don't need to be a physicist to tell us something weird is going on, right?
That's absolutely right. Absolutely.
That's absolutely right, George, and I think that's a great summation and breakdown by George Knapp. But getting back to the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and how compromised he and Arrow seem to be, here's Ross Coulthart talking, this is an older quote, talking about how there are legacy program members, UFO control group members, as part of a secret review board or a council, rather, of Arrow.
That legacy program gatekeepers have been advising Kirkpatrick, and we were one of the first people to reveal this months back, that Kirkpatrick had people that were actually managing or had been managing the legacy UFO crash retrieval and back-end engineering program, that he had brought those people on board to advise him. I think we've kind of seen the result of that. And I understand earlier that you posted that you actually know the names of these people. Do you plan on revealing them?
Yes, actually, I forgot it was you that had that scoop, Matt. It was you. It was the advisory group to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick that he was keeping very, very secret. But there were, again, people in Arrow who were quite alarmed to discover that their boss, the head of Arrow, was taking advice from a group of advisors who, frankly, were totally and utterly compromised. And I can't name them just yet. I've got plans about what I want to do. But what I can tell you is that these are people whom I know are directly involved as legacy program gatekeepers. One of them sat on the National Security Council with Dick Cheney in his White House years. It's very, very interesting to see the people who are now being revealed to me as the people involved in, frankly, this cover-up. And yes, they are going to be named. They are going to be revealed.
Well, I sure hope so, Ross. He hasn't done so yet, but he says he has plans for how to do this. So hopefully that'll be, revealed soon. Okay, first of all, from Dean Johnson, on July 23rd, 2024, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand signed on as a co-sponsor of the Rounds-Schumer UAP Disclosure Act. Last time around, it was the Schumer-Rounds Amendment, but this time Rounds is leading the charge, so it's the Rounds-Schumer Amendment. Either way, looks like Kirsten Gillibrand has signed on to this thing. So, I'm still not quite sure what's going on with Kirsten Gillibrand. But either way, she is supporting this amendment, and that's a great thing. Okay, check this out. This is also really cool from Dean Johnson. Again, Douglas Dean Johnson. The UAP Disclosure Act, the proposed Pentagon Arrow rewrite of November 2023. In light of recent statements made by the former head of Arrow, the lovely Dr. John Kirkpatrick, asserting that the Pentagon Arrow successfully derailed the Schumer Rounds amendment, I am releasing here a proposed 33-page line-by-line rewrite of the Senate-passed UAPDA that the Pentagon provided to congressional negotiators during in-stage negotiations in 2023. Yeah, so, the Senate had their version of the UAP Disclosure Act. The Pentagon said, not so fast, guys. We're gonna rewrite it for you, and we're gonna change some major stuff. The most interesting thing about the changes that I saw was the changes to eminent domain. The OUSDINS, and that's where Arrow was housed under, draft, the Arrow draft proposed a substantial weakening of the provision by replacing mandatory language, for example, the federal government shall exercise eminent domain, with non-binding language. It is the sense of Congress that the federal government should exercise eminent domain appropriately. But OUSDINS/Arrow did not propose deleting the objects to which such eminent domain should apply. Any and all recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence that may be controlled by private persons or entities. They left that language in, interestingly. And this is where it gets weird, okay? Because the revisions, the Arrow version of the Schumer Rounds Amendment, would have required that any such exotic material be made available to Arrow rather than to an independent review board, and would have assigned to the president rather than the review board certain determinations regarding such material. So if you find a UFO, Arrow gets it, not the review board. Now, I have major doubts about the review board and about eminent domain, but let's continue on. Meanwhile, from Chris Sharp at Liberation Times comes this excellent article, Political Volatility Brings Uncertainty and Potential for UFO Disclosure. Basically talking about what's going on now with UFO disclosure and how it's kind of being stalled right now by the elections and by the political processes. But he gives us some insight into what might happen if one or the other candidate wins. If it's Trump, there's some possible good indications from some people associated with Trump, like this guy named Thiel. Also Vivek Ramaswamy, who has come out as pro-disclosure or pro-transparency anyway. Meanwhile, if Kamala wins, then we have a different situation. And getting to that, Harris, currently the most likely nominee, faces a choice: maintain the status quo by keeping Jake Sullivan as National Security Advisor, Lloyd Austin as Defense Secretary, and Avril Haines as Director of National Intelligence, or appoint her own team who might support greater government transparency. The status quo may prove a stumbling block, with sources telling Liberation Times that both Austin and Haines are against further UAP transparency. No big surprise there. But a change within the White House cabinet could reflect more openness to disclosing information, and a change may be likely, especially due to the recent health woes experienced by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. So I'm sorry that he's experiencing those health woes, but there you go. It's possible that with a new cabinet, you could get a new situation in the White House. Either way, it's a really interesting article talking about what's going on right now in Washington as it relates to UFO disclosure and some possibilities that might be on the horizon.